Hey, it's Shana Meyerson with YOGAthletica in Los Angeles, California, here today with sequence number 2 of 3 to help you get deeper into your hanumanasana splits. Remember that this is a sequence, like all split sequences, that come towards the very end of your practice, after you're really, really warm. This isn't stuff you want to work on cold. That being said, if you email me at shana@yogathletica.com, I will send you a super cool free PDF that I created to help you to sequence any home practice for yourself that includes all the elements you need to maximize your strength, your flexibility, and your balance for the best possible yoga practice. And be sure to subscribe to my Vimeo channels because that is where I have my full-length classes that have these beautifully, perfectly sequenced classes to get you into any pose that is on your yoga wish list, including hanumanasana. Let's get started. We're actually going to start today with Upu Visha Konasana, which is your wide-legged forward bend, okay? So wide angle pose. So in order to get into Upu Visha Konasana, I do recommend being sideways on your yoga mat so that your heels can sort of like get stuck on the floor as you come deeper into the pose. So I start out in sort of like a baby split, and I take my hands, one in front, one in back, move my hips forward any amount, and then I press my heels away. Okay, now what that does is going to lengthen the whole backside of my legs. Make sure that as you come into this pose, your knees stay facing up and do not collapse forward. You'll see that in the beginning, I overcompensate. I'd rather you overcompensate, meaning knees turned a little back, than undercompensate, meaning a little bit forward. So again, to get deeper into my straddle, I lift, move my hips forward, and flex. Okay, now I'm not going to tell you how many times to do this. You could do it 1 time, you could do it 50 times. You're going to do it until you find a respectable edge, meaning something you can hold on to that is not going to rip your groin, but still challenges the stretch. I'm going to just take 1 more today. Okay, so once I come into my Upu Visha Konasana, if it's really hard for you to sit up tall, just sit up tall and make sure you have nice extension in your spine. But if you're okay without collapsing your knees in, you walk the hands forward. Now, if you follow me a lot, you know that I use my hands as sort of like a dual role. 1 is they walk me forward, but 2 is simultaneously, they're actually pushing me backwards because I want my tailbone lengthening. If you want a lot of instruction on this pose, be sure to check out my Upu Visha Konasana video. So I fold forward. Remember that every forward bend has an element of a back bend. So no matter how far or how not far I go forward, I maintain that length. If you feel comfortable going all the way down, then you could slide into what people, not me, I'm not people, I'm a person, but I'm not people, call like a pancake. So we're going to come nice and flat. Now you see my chin is on the floor. The reason being that when you have extension in your neck, it helps to maintain extension in your spine. Now remember, you want to hold all stretches for a minimum of 5 breaths, okay? So if the timing here is not ideal for you, set your own timer. Okay, I sit up and now going to the right in a side stretch. So for me, I'm going to bring my feet in just a little bit to accommodate that. I take my right arm upside down and backwards like this, grab the inside of my foot. If you can't do that, just do this and look pretty, okay? So I turn my hand backwards, grabbing the inside of the foot. My other arm comes up and grabs the outside of my foot. For me, this hip lifts more than it should, but try to keep that hip down as you stretch the side and twist over to the right. Now, staying to the right, to come into Hanuman from this one. And if you don't have a deep split, this is going to be a little more challenging, so you may have to adjust. And as always, use blocks if you need to. I'm going to turn my back leg in and keep rotating it. Because remember, in order to come into a split, this knee actually has to be pointing down. So I start to turn my body to the right. Tucking my back toes, remember, helps me to get into my split. I move my right foot to the right as needed to come into my Hanuman on the right. Now, when I do my splits, I do tend to adjust more than once because in order to get like an optimal stretch, sometimes you might be in the stretch and you're like, wait, I can go deeper. Go with that. Lean into that. It's always okay to go deeper as long as you don't rip anything off your body. Then it's not okay to go deeper. Remember that deeper isn't better. Deeper is just deeper. Okay, so from here, this time we're going to try samakonasana. Okay, what's samakonasana? So I rotate back in. Remember, I'm just undoing what I did, but that's going to take me pretty wide again. So samakonasana is basically, can you get your legs in a straight line? It's okay if you can't. The question is, can you get your legs in a straight line? But this time we're not going to fold forward. So same process. I move in and press my heels out, in and press out, in, my mat is bunching, and out, and in. Okay, this is as far as I'm going to go. I take my hands to prayer for samakonasana. Now, what you're going to find that's sort of funny is like if you get really deep into this, it becomes a little bit of a weird balance pose where it's like wobble, wobble. And I would imagine if you could get all the way in a straight line, which I'm not quite there, that the balance will become even more challenging. And that's why we have the separate pose that involves staying upright versus going forward. In fact, I'm going to make this just a little bit deeper. Last couple breaths. My mom had it out with me the other day saying that my voice is too high and shrill, and that I need to talk in a lower voice. The problem is when I talk in the late night talk show host voice, it's hard for me to be enthusiastic. Okay, we're going to go over to the other side. So high and shrill it is. Again, for me, I close off just a little bit to accommodate. As I'm stuck to the mat, as I lean over, I turn this hand backwards, upside down to the inside of the foot. Right arm comes over. Now, for this side, I'm going to just get my shoulder a little bit lower to the inside as I rotate. Now, I'm not as in practice in this as I should be. I don't do this stretch very often. But when I used to, you can actually sort of lie down backwards on your thigh, meaning really emphasize that twist and the side bend. Now, again, as much as you can, try to keep the right hip down towards the floor. Right now, I really have to emphasize as much as you can because I'm not doing a great job of that. Okay, so coming over to the Hanuman, I come in and remember I rotate this leg, sorry about the mat. I know I say that Manduka mats don't bunch, they don't, but this is an extenuating circumstance because my feet are literally pulling it together. Okay, here we go. So I turn, I square, I'm flexed, straight leg on top of my back knee. Breathing deeply. As always, use blocks if you need blocks, okay? I know I say it a lot, and I've probably already said a lot in this video. I know I said a lot last video. Nothing is worth hurting yourself for. Like nothing in yoga is worth an injury. So always be smart about it. But at the same time, if you're not pushing your edges, you are never going to progress. So you can't say, oh, I'm never going to get splits when you're using 2 blocks for the rest of your life. At some point, you're either going to have to get smaller blocks or find a way to get to 1 block. Remember also, when you have blocks, the further forward they are, the more support they give you. The further back, the less support. So let's say you're on 2 blocks, but they're sort of close to your knee. Maybe move them back towards your hip a little bit to go a little deeper. Okay, from here, back to Upu Visha Konasana one more time. Okay, so here we go. Which one is Upu Visha? That's my forward fold. So I go in and find my edge. And again, as my hands go forward, they also push me back. I want my tailbone pointing down, not lifting up. Extending out for a few breaths here. And coming back in. Remember that with all stretches, the longer you hold them, the more they're going to benefit and the more flexible you're going to get. So take liberties with how long you hold these poses. Again, these are poses, the splits that you do after your body is super warm. Email me at shana@yogathletica.com. Look around my channel, you can figure out the spellings. And I will send you this super cool free PDF that I created to help you to sequence your own at-home practice to make sure that you are always safe and progressing. And if you want my take on what a perfect class looks like, subscribe to my Vimeo channels where you will get hundreds of unique full-length classes of every level, every intensity, every duration, to get you into the poses of your yoga dreams. This is Shana Meyerson with YOGAthletica in Los Angeles, California, wishing you an awesome day and amazing splits.